While we were watching the ceiling, Black women were rebuilding the floor. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something with you that didn't just stop me in my tracks. It shattered everything I thought I knew about power, progress, and who really holds the keys to transformation in our communities. I recently had the privilege of sitting down with Lynda Canty, a visionary leader who has dedicated her life to amplifying the voices and victories of Black women in leadership. Lynda Canty is not just observing change, she is documenting it, celebrating it, archiving it, and ensuring that the world sees what we already know. Black women are not waiting for permission to lead. They are reshaping the very structures that impact our daily lives, our economic futures, and our collective freedom. Lynda is a truth teller, a bridge builder, and a relentless advocate for making Black women's leadership visible, valued, and undeniable. Her work is not just important, it is essential. And what she shared with me during our conversation was nothing short of revolutionary. Here's what we think we know. We think that the most important battles for Black women's leadership are being fought in boardrooms, in Congress, in Fortune 500 companies. We think that real power looks like a corner office, a national platform, a seat at the table where the biggest decisions are made. And yes, those spaces do matter. But here's the truth that Lynda helped me see more clearly. While we've been watching the national stage, waiting for representation to trickle down, the most profound shifts in power and opportunity have been happening right under our noses at the local level, where Black women are quietly and systematically reshaping the structures that impact our daily lives. We're talking about small business capital access, workforce training, housing equity, city contracts, the things that determine whether your neighbor can start that bakery she's been dreaming about, whether your cousin can get the job training that actually leads to a real job, whether your block gets the same city services as the one across town. This is not symbolic leadership. This is not a photo op. This is Black women fundamentally altering who holds real economic and political power in our communities, even as national representation remains far behind equity goals. Let me paint you a picture. Let me tell you about Mary Sheffield. In 2025, Mary Sheffield became the first Black woman mayor of Detroit. Think about that for a second. Detroit, a city with a majority Black population, a city that has been the heartbeat of Black culture, innovation, and resilience for generations. And it took until 2025 for a Black woman to lead it. Mary's journey wasn't overnight. She spent a decade rising from the youngest member of the city council to the top leader. And every step of that journey was marked by persistent advocacy for housing and economic justice. She built coalitions across community groups. She navigated the city's complex political landscape. She didn't just talk about equity, she fought for it in the budget, in the contracts out there, in the policies that determine who gets access and who gets left behind. Detroit was facing entrenched issues: housing insecurity, economic stagnation, a lack of equitable access to small business capital. Families were being pushed out of neighborhoods they'd lived in for generations. Small business owners, the backbone of the community, couldn't get loans because banks didn't see them as worthy investments. City services were unevenly distributed, leaving Black neighborhoods with crumbling infrastructure while wealthier areas thrived. Mary's campaign and administration focused on equitable city spending, support for minority owned small businesses, and reforms in housing policy. And the outcomes? Increased access to startup capital for Black entrepreneurs, improved city services in majority Black neighborhoods, more rigorous equity measures in city contracts that ensured taxpayer dollars were actually reinvested in the communities that needed them most. Her win and her policies have become a blueprint for other cities seeking to close the racial wealth gap and foster inclusive economic growth. Mary Sheffield is not just leading Detroit, she is rewriting the rules for what leadership looks like when it centers the people who have been left out for too long. She is proving that when Black women lead with intention, with vision, with an unapologetic commitment to equity, entire cities transform. Now, let me tell you about Sharon Owens. Sharon Owens was elected as the first Black mayor of Syracuse, New York in 2025. Syracuse was struggling with a mismatch between workforce training programs and available jobs. There was persistent underbanking in Black communities. Barriers to entrepreneurship were everywhere: lack of childcare, lack of transportation, lack of access to capital. Sharon didn't just see these problems, she had lived them. Her career as a city administrator and deputy mayor gave her firsthand insight into the structural challenges facing Syracuse's Black residents. She knew the systems were broken because she had watched them fail her community over and over again. She ran on a platform of inclusive economic growth and neighborhood revitalization, and she delivered. Sharon implemented policies to align job training with local labor market needs. She removed barriers like childcare and transportation that kept people from accessing opportunities. She expanded entrepreneurship support for BIPOC and immigrant communities, recognizing that when we invest in the most marginalized, everyone benefits. Early results include increased workforce participation among underrepresented groups, more accessible small business loans, and improved city services in marginalized neighborhoods. Her administration's focus on equity is inspiring similar reforms in other upstate New York cities. Sharon Owens is proving that intentional policy and local leadership can address systemic barriers to economic participation for Black communities. She's not waiting for the state or the federal government to fix it. She's doing it now. Where she is, with the power she has, she's showing us that transformation doesn't require permission, it requires commitment. And then there's Joy Washington. Joy Washington became the first Black woman and first person of color to serve as mayor in Media, Pennsylvania, a town with only 3% Black residents. 3%. Let that sink in. Joy faced skepticism about her electability. She faced a lack of representation. She faced community concerns over housing, infrastructure, and government transparency. But she ran anyway. She ran on the idea that local government should be an ally for residents, focusing on practical solutions for housing, small business, and equitable access to city services. Her administration has improved government transparency, expanded support for entrepreneurs, and increased community trust in local government. Joy's journey included service as a borough council member and community illustrator, building relationships across diverse groups. She didn't just show up when it was time to run for office. She had been doing the work, building the trust, showing up consistently for her community long before anyone knew her name. Her win signals the growing political power of Black women in communities where they have been historically underrepresented, setting a precedent for inclusive leadership. Joy Washington is showing us that transformation is possible even in the smallest communities, even where representation has been unthinkable. She is proving that you don't need to be in a major city to make major change. You just need to be willing to show up, to lead with integrity, and to refuse to accept the status quo. Now, here's what Lynda Canty wants us to understand. These wins are not accidents. They are not flukes. They are the result of deliberate strategies to expand entrepreneurship support, align workforce training with real jobs, and ensure equity in government contracts and city spending. These approaches are models for other communities and sectors aiming for sustainable empowerment. This is local leadership equaling real change. Black women's leadership at the city and community level is driving tangible improvements in economic opportunity, small business support, and access to resources that matter most for everyday life, not just in major cities, but in smaller communities where representation was previously unthinkable. But let's be honest, let's be unapologetically honest. Progress is uneven and under threat. Despite these historic wins, Black women remain underrepresented in senior leadership and executive roles across industries. Recent economic and political shifts, including anti DEI backlash and layoffs, threaten to reverse gains and widen opportunity gaps. The same systems that celebrated diversity a few years ago are now quietly dismantling the programs and policies that made space for us in the first place. The same companies that posted black squares are now cutting DEI budgets and eliminating roles. The same institutions that promised change are now retreating into comfort and complacency. So, what do? Do we wait for permission? Do we wait for the national stage to finally make room for us? Or do we take a page from Mary Sheffield, Sharon Owens, Enjoy Washington, and build power where we are? This is where the soft girl era meets the work of transformation. Because here's the thing, you don't have to run for mayor to make a difference. You don't have to be on a national stage to shift the structures around you. The power to create change, to drive equity, to support and uplift Black women's leadership is already in your hands. It's in the way you show up in your community. It's in the way you support Black owned businesses. It's in the way you advocate for equitable policies at your job, in your neighborhood, in your city. It's in the way you say no to systems that exploit you and yes to the ones that honor you. Lynda Canty reminded me that the most transformative leadership is often the quietest. It's the woman who starts a community fund to support Black entrepreneurs. It's the woman who runs for school board to ensure that Black children are seen and valued. It's the woman who organizes her neighbors to demand better city services. It's the woman who refuses to carry the cape of superwoman and instead chooses to lead from a place of rest, clarity, and intentionality. This is what it means to embrace softness in a world that taught you survival. It means recognizing that you don't have to do it all, be it all, or carry it all to make an impact. It means understanding that your influence, no matter how local or small it may seem, has the power to create opportunities and drive equity in your community. It means letting go of the hustle as identity and embracing leadership um, as a practice of care for yourself and for others. So here's my question for you. And I want you to sit with this, really like sit with it. How can you leverage your own influence, no matter how local or small it may seem, to create opportunities and drive equity in your community? And what's one concrete step you'll take this week to support or uplift Black women's leadership where you live? Maybe it's attending a city council meeting and speaking up about an issue that matters. Maybe it's donating to a Black woman's campaign or business. Maybe it's mentoring a young Black woman who's trying to find her way. Maybe it's simply saying no to one more thing that drains you so you can say yes to the work that fills you. Maybe it's having a conversation with your neighbor about what's happening in your community and how you can work together to create change. Because here's the truth, and I need you to hear this: the revolution is not coming, the revolution is here. It's happening in Detroit, in Syracuse, in Media, Pennsylvania. It's happening in your city, in your neighborhood, in your living room, and it's being led by Black women who are tired of waiting, tired of asking, tired of proving. Black women who are choosing themselves, choosing their communities, choosing a different way forward. The question is not whether change is possible. The question is whether you're willing to be part of it. Whether you're willing to stop waiting for someone else to fix it and start using the power you already have. Whether you're willing to shift your focus from the national stage to the local ground where the real work is happening, where the real transformation is taking root. This is not about doing more. This is about doing differently. This is about recognizing that the structures we've been taught to aspire to, the ones that promise power if we just work hard enough, climb high enough, prove ourselves worthy enough, those structures were never designed for us. They were designed to extract from us, to use us, to keep us striving and never arriving. But Mary Sheffield, Sharon Owens, and Joy Washington are showing us a different path. They're showing us that real power is not about climbing someone else's ladder. It's about building your own foundation. It's about creating systems that work for your community, not systems that exploit it. It's about leading with intention, with equity, with a fierce commitment to the people who have been left behind. And you can do this too. You can start today. You can start right where you are. You don't need a title. You don't need a platform. You don't need permission. You just need to decide that you're done waiting and you're ready to build. So I'm going to leave you with this. Stop looking up. Start looking around. The power you've been searching for is not in some distant boardroom or corner office. It's in your community. It's in your neighbor. It's in the Black woman down the street who's trying to start a business. It's in the young girl who needs to see someone who looks like her leading with confidence and grace. It's in you. The revolution is not coming. The revolution is here, and it's waiting for you to join it. Not someday, not when you're ready, not when you have more time, more money, more credentials. Now, today, right where you are. So take a breath, release the cape, and step into your power right where you are. Build the floor, strengthen the foundation, lead from the ground up, and watch how everything changes. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your revolution. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for an invitation. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Be the change. Be the leader. Be the revolution your community has been waiting for. Now go and build something beautiful.